record. Hello, Jeff. Welcome to the show, Entrepreneurs, Business, and Finance. We're fortunate to have Jeff Vernon on the show this morning. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Great, great, great. Well, Jeff used to live in Dallas, and as so many good relationships happen, we were introduced by a fellow business colleague, and Jeff has tremendous experience in oil and gas, as well as other things that we're going to talk about. And he's become a friend. He actually lives in Florida, and I made a point of stopping him and meeting him when he was in Florida because we were introduced after he'd moved from Dallas to Florida. And he now works with Mineral Royalties Group, helping with our marketing and some other things. And uh, since I put you out there as the expert that you are in oil and gas, and I know a lot of your time until recently was spent in kind of the drilling world, and Mineral Royalties Group is about owning the properties and the royalties. Um, can you share a little bit about what you learned in the oil and gas drilling world and how that compares to what we're doing at Mineral Royalties Group?
Absolutely. I sold interest in joint ventures, limited partnerships, and that type of thing. And I also did investor relations in for an oil and gas company, an independent drilling company. And the one thing I learned is that if they have to ask you for your money in order to drill wells, they're probably not very good at it. Companies like Chesapeake, um,
Yeah,
the big operators,
yeah,
they don't need our money. They don't need your money. And that's fantastic. Getting paid out of the gross instead of having all those expenses. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. But I think the biggest thing about the oil and gas industry with those types of companies is, and I used to love it, you'd always hear them talk about how they found something that Chesapeake missed or that Continental Resources missed. Well, those guys don't miss stuff. If they really want it, they're going to acquire it. So when people are telling you it's because they missed something in that area, it's they didn't want it. And that's why those projects, every time I ever saw one of those where they said something like that, there was a problem. That's how good those billion-dollar operating companies are. They pick what they want and they leave the rest. It's kind of interesting.
and I think there are some successful smaller independent operators, but as a defense for them, it's just very, very difficult. I've done that myself in a past business, and the funding and small operators and all the problems that you run into. Oh
Exactly.
my gosh. And, we had some successes, but we also had some failures. And um, the combination of having shale, which is not like you're looking for oil, it's there, and having a company that has so much experience with geology and engineering and geophysicists.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes all the difference in the world.
It really does. I mean, those smaller companies, I mean, bless their hearts, most of them, their hearts were in the right place. But when you don't have all those resources, that's when those problems can really kick your butt. I mean, if you're if you have a problem and you've got billions in resources, you can fix that problem very, very quickly. But if you don't, then sometimes it takes a little bit longer. You have to maybe go the cheaper route, and sometimes that's not as effective. It's like these properties that at Mineral Royalties Group, those companies have already spent tens of millions of dollars to drill wells. We know it's there. They wouldn't be spending that money if it wasn't. Pretty simple.
And, I always do my best and can't say that I'm perfect by any means, but try to, work with people with good character. And my understanding is you got kind of fed up with it and you just got out of the business because it was just too much. It's too hard to see people basically not do well, trying and failing or having problems. And but then when you learned about mineral properties and you kind of had to be talked into it, to understand that, hey, this was different, you kind of lit up with the excitement again and got back into the oil and gas. Is that an accurate description?
Absolutely. Yeah, being able to sell something that is a real asset that, people get paid out of the gross. They don't have any expenses, and all we pay is taxes. That's incredible. And to be able to generate revenue for your family for generations off a single purchase, and it's truly passive income. It's mailbox money is what they used to call it. Now I guess you call it inbox money, because because you just hear the little chime of the cash register or whatever you set up to tell you when those checks hit. Um, Whenever you made money, you did it while you were sleeping, while you were doing everything else in your life.
Well, and truly royalties, most people don't understand that you can buy property underneath the ground under where a big company, billion-dollar, potentially publicly traded company is drilling, and they pay you a percentage because you own the property. But that's what mineral properties, mineral rights, there's different names people give it, but that's what it is. So it's a not a well-known business for most people.
Yeah, and they've been doing it. People have been able to buy mineral rights since like 1839 is when they first started that. You got families out in the Permian Basin as a perfect example. Back when oil was in the big boom in the beginning, when they were still going after traps and stuff like that, um, those families made a lot of money on what are basically dirt farms. They couldn't even grow stuff out there. And then as they depleted those resources, all of a sudden, they weren't getting as much money. And then when they found the shale formation out there and started producing that, those people started getting checks again, just out of the blue in their mailbox. Could you imagine that? Just all of a sudden getting checks on a property that your family has owned for, hundreds of years.
Yeah,
It's just
it's
mind-boggling.
it is mind-boggling. Oh, well, you happen to live in an area that of the country, Florida, that has a lot of seniors because of the warm climate. Um, I'm certainly of an age now where, my parents have passed away, and I went through rewarding times, but also difficult times when they both had dementia, Alzheimer's, needed help and different levels of care. And I know another one of your passions and what you do is you help seniors, and I think people are interested in that. What you've learned and what you know about how to help your loved ones, your parents or aunt, uncle, or anyone that you care about that needs help as they get older. Because unfortunately, or fortunately, beats the alternative, as my dad used to say. We're all going to get older. Uh,
Yep. Inevitable.
so,
Yeah, so I moved to Florida because a friend of mine that I had worked with for years took a job working for Life Alert, and he offered me a job. And I happen to know a lot about Life Alert because back when it first came out, I was actually working in the security industry. And I remember talking to the owner of the security company that I worked for. We had a big meeting, and he was talking about this wondrous thing, Life Alert. He's like, they can tell you if your equipment breaks. Security equipment, you have to hit the button and find out the hard way, right? Somebody might not answer if there's been a problem with the equipment. The only way to find out is to hit the button and find out. With Life Alert, nah, if anything goes wrong with that equipment, they call the person that's wearing it and say, hey, that device doesn't work. We're sending you a new one. If a safety device can fail you without you knowing it, it's not really very safe. And I think the biggest problem we run into is people have become so cost conscious, and they have the mentality that um, all this stuff is the same, but it's not. You can look at the paperwork that those companies send out with their equipment. It says you can't rely on this. It's not an emergency response device. And it's like, really? So why are you charging people for it? It's been an example of just how shady, unfortunately, our society has become. As far as I'm concerned, the other companies out there are taking advantage. They're acting like they're going to provide resources or results, and then they don't. I mean, it's crazy. I don't get it. Um, But yeah, being able to get help anytime you have a situation of any kind, medical, having a fully licensed medical dispatcher and all of your medical details following you anywhere you go in the United States. So you're never a generic 911 call. That's huge. If you've ever had to call 911, that's not always a great experience. They don't know the first thing about you due to privacy laws. They have to figure out who you are, where you are. They have to figure it all out. And they can't even share. If you tell them you're taking a medication, they can't even tell that to the paramedics. They have to wait till they get there. So yeah, it's all about protecting people and making sure they get the help they need when they need it immediately. And that's why actually at Life Alert, they've independent studies show that our members stay out of nursing homes and assisted living centers an average of 6 years longer than folks that don't have it. And that's specific to Life Alert, which is an actual company, not a thing. I get those calls. People call in and they go, I got to buy a Life Alert. It's not a thing. It's not a. And we've played around, you call some of these other companies and you say, yeah, I need to buy Life Alert. And they will happily sell you their system as Life Alert, which is a registered trademark. Weird, huh?
Yeah.
I guess that's why they keep getting sued.
Well, that is really very informative. I actually thought I knew a bit about it, and I didn't know as much as I thought I did. So,
Well,
very,
the other
very.
companies, they just forward emergencies into 911. So they're literally charging you to add time to your response, right? If you can call 911 yourself from your cell phone, and your average response time is going to be around 15 minutes in the 911 system, then if they're going to have somebody that verifies that there's a problem before they transfer it into 911, they've literally added time to your response. That's why they can't tell you that they've ever saved a life. If you look at any of those sites for any of those other companies, they'll talk about making you feel safe, but they can't prove that they've ever saved a life. Life Alert saves a life from a catastrophic event every 11 minutes. And we can prove it. So, big difference.
Boy, that is absolutely astounding and encouraging. Also,
Yeah.
you know,
What?
that there's good people with good companies that making a difference and making money doing it. Um, that's the American way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's we're Life Alert's a family owned business. So they're not publicly traded. They don't have stockholders that are making safety decisions based on money. We manufacture our own equipment right here in the United States. It's top of the line. It's all state of the art. It's the best equipment in the industry and the most reliable. Yeah, I could charge a lot less too if I was importing cheap Chinese stuff from, Wuhan, China. That's where they make a lot of those devices. It's kind of weird. I guess that's the medical area of China.
Interesting,
Wuhan.
interesting.
It is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear all kinds of stories, people call and they'll be cursing us out. I mean, when you get a call from an 80-something-year-old person and they're cursing you out because their Life Alert didn't work, and you're like, that's not Life Alert. And they will insist and swear that they got Life Alert, and then they finally look at the where it says what it is, and it's another company every single time. I had a lady say the other day, she goes, "You mean my kids got me the cheap one?" Sorry, but yeah, I mean, I wish I could tell you that that was a good one, but it's not, you know? Yeah. So I think that's the most frustrating thing about it is that the misinformation that's out there. I mean, it's been an education. These other companies use the same exact words that we do and mean something completely different. For instance, response times. When they say their response time, they're talking about how long it takes their um, monitoring station agent to answer. So you hit your button, they say, is there an emergency in about 12 to 15 seconds? Life Alert's a little slower. We say, is there an emergency? An average of 30 seconds. The difference is the person who answers is actually going to handle your entire problem. from beginning to end. They're going to dispatch who you need. You're not going to get transferred, put on hold, or anything like that. You're fully qualified. The other one's just going to transfer you. It's like, what are you paying for? You can call 911 for free yourself from your cell phone.
Yeah. When you boil it down like that, it seems so simple. That's one of my, I think, belief system. Some of the most important things you can do in business is boil it down to the main point. And when you say it like that, it's like, well, my gosh, uh, I thank goodness I don't need it, but I'm ready to get it.
You know what? You never need it till you do. It's like wearing a
Yeah.
seatbelt. You don't try to predict when you're going to need it. Am I going to need the seatbelt today? Because you're not going to be right. We just wear it each time, and when something happens,
Okay,
we're
never
just really
mind.
glad that
Sign
we
me
had
up.
it on.
Sign me up. Never mind. Sign me up. Uh, 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 well, I am a little bit envious. I'm from Arlington, Virginia, and we used to have, winters about 16, 17 inches of average snow. People in Buffalo and Maine and Minnesota and North and South Dakota, they all laugh at that. But so here I am in warm, sunny Dallas, and it's been below freezing and came in, I think it was maybe a little above freezing this morning. And there you are in sunny Florida. Uh,
Let's see, what's the temperature? Hang on, let me see for you. It's 58.
58. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's tough stuff. Um, well, hey, really good to work with you. Listen to what you have to say. Uh, have our friendship, and thanks for coming on the show. I think people find this interesting and fun. And I will talk to you soon.
For having me.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye bye.